Grand Rising, good afternoon. Today we're going to talk about which charities do the most good. Just a little article I'm going to read to you guys and help you guys with charities and who's seeking charity or need charity. This is an evaluator. Tell you which charities are best, which ones actually doing what they're supposed to do, and those of which are not doing what they're supposed to do. So this is a new tool that's been added to the charity world to evaluate which charities are actually living up to what they say that they're going to do. And there's also, so it lists all the charities, hundreds of thousands of charities. So I'm just going to read the article, and then you guys can come back and do your own independent research on whichever charity that you're seeking to get some donations from, or if you're planning on creating a charity, this will give you a little insight to how to be transparent. Now, today, more people are becoming more transparent in the business that they do and the way that they operate. They want to put everything out on the table, kind of sort of the way that I operate. I put everything out front, let you see it first before you decide you want to do business with me. I particularly like to just be totally transparent in my business transactions for everyone, and that seems to be a better approach, and as opposed to stringing you along with different things that keep your interest but never give you the answer. So without further ado, let's get into the article. The world's largest independent charity evaluator is called Charity Navigator, and it lists hundreds of thousands of U.S.-based charities with programs around the world, providing information to help donors decide whether they want to give money there. Charity Navigator provides insights into a nonprofit's financial stability and adherence to best practices for accountability and transparency, like I was explaining. But until recently, it's been unable to answer one big question donors frequently want to know: how much good will my money actually do? How much good will my money actually do? I do not edit my videos, so excuse me for any of the mispronunciations or anything like that. I believe keeping it in its rawest form. So I hope you enjoy it in its rawest form instead of edited and deleted scenes, and just true from the heart information. This week, the Charity Navigator announced that it will change. It's acquired a smaller, impact-focused charity evaluator called Impact Matters, which estimates how far your money goes when you donate it, and is rolling out a new impact and results rating that lets people choose charities by how much they get done. And that's a good idea. When it comes to giving, what really matters is how much good your money will do. But until pretty recently, there often wasn't any answer to that question that an average donor could find. The Charity Navigator acquisition demonstrates that impact is becoming more and more of a priority in the nonprofit sector, and that seems likely to be a very good for the world. So I think this is a good tool that many people can use to find out which charities are really doing what they're supposed to do, as opposed to those charities that take your money, put it in a big pool, and you never see where that money goes and how they spend that money and where it's been, who's benefit from it, from the proceeds of donations and your day. So this tool here, Impact Matters, and the other tool, Charity Navigator, clearly will help you decide where to put your money in those organizations that's really saying and doing what their mission is. Charity Navigator's new rating system is the latest move in a growing trend. Greater awareness that nonprofits vary immensely in how much good they accomplish, even within a specific category. Impact Matters co-founder Elijah Goldberg told me some soup kitchens feed far more people with the same amount of money. Some homeless shelters are able to offer quality shelter to far more people. Donors care about Donors care about that. In surveys, most of them list effectiveness, just like I was saying, as one of their top concerns when giving to charity. And many people don't give to a charity out of a vague sense that most charities don't work very well. Stories about ineffective charities are remembered by donors who often give less, and effective charities that do a lot of good tend to make far less memorable stories. That's true. You don't hear about the good charities, the one that are actually doing the good things. You always hear about the bad charities absconding with the donors' money and just just doing stuff outright illegal against their members and donors. At the end of the day, we want to know what our money has done, not necessarily where it got spent. But that's easier said than done. Measuring a charity's impact is time intensive and requires answering lots of difficult questions, which lead studies on the effects of education programs on test scores later in life. Do we believe? If the charity has limited data, how far can we generalize from that data it does have? If it collects no data on many of its programs, what should be our base assumption about their impact? Historically, donors Those who care about effectiveness haven't had many options. A decade ago, no charity evaluators that tried to arrive at a systematic estimates of impacts existed. Then GiveWell was founded, changing the landscape. It researched which charities get you the most impact for your money in the world, and eventually identified lots of global health and development programs. Disclosure: I donate to GiveWell every year. That's the author of the story, the writer of the story. Research suggests that it's extraordinarily cost-effective to benefit children by treating them for malaria and intestinal parasites, and that many programs fail to do as much good as just giving people money. Mm. That's valuable work, Goldberg told me, but it leaves a gap. If a person is determined to donate to ending homelessness in their community, then knowing the world's highest impact charities doesn't help them. But GiveWell's research-intensive project can easily be translated to ranking the thousands and thousands of U.S. nonprofits that donors might be looking up. So this tool is very, very, very useful for those who like to donate to charities and who have a giving heart, philanthropic spirit. The best site out there for evaluating impact is GiveWell, but they're only naming the top 10 best charities. Dean Carlin, Impact Matters co-founder and professor of economics at Northwestern University, told me. So for someone who wants to support someone in their local community or education internationally, we saw this big gaping hole. Impact Matters was an attempt to change that. Their impact evaluation process doesn't involve as much heavy lifting as GiveWell's. They don't attempt to compare across all cost areas. Soup kitchens are evaluated by how many meals they give out, and homeless shelters by how many nights of shelter they provide. And they try to build a process that can be used to evaluate thousands of organizations so that every charity can get a rating for impact and then ideally be motivated to improve it. Because it evaluated so many charities, its process was a natural fit for Charity Navigators, which tries to offer a rating for every nonprofit there is available data for. Historically, it has been based ratings on financial indicators like how much money the charity has in the bank, how responsibly it spends that money, and how much is spent on overhead or administrative expenses. The reason donors care about any of those things, of course, is that they care about how much good their money is doing. Whether the charity is well run, how it spends its money, are easy to measure indications that ideally provide a window into the question that really matters: whether your donation makes a difference in the world. That's true. That's what we really want to see. The money that we donate to these different charities and causes, is it actually making an impact? Is it making a dent into what we're donating to? Whether charities worldwide how to spend its money are easy to measure indicates that I provide a window into that question that really matters. Whether your donation makes a difference in the world, but they're very imperfect indicators. A charity might have high administrative expenses because it works in an area where legal compliance is really important, but still be high impact. A charity might increase its overhead expense by hiring a secretary, but be significantly more effective as a result of having freed up program officers to spend their time on programs. Impact matters. We use those financial indicators, but tries to go beyond them. We've always been focused on understanding the nonprofit mission and then assessing mission success, Goldberg told me. Where impact is easiest and hardest to measure, evidence. Action is on one charity highlighted on Charity Navigator's new splash page explaining how its impact evaluations work. 50% provides clean water to a person for a year. The rating reads. That's clean, straightforward, and easy to understand. This style of impact evaluation works really well for charities that provide clean water or medication or food and shelter. The approach of impact matters or cost per outcome makes a ton more sense in certain areas of the sector that Thatcher told me. We're starting with what they have, which works incredibly well in the services area. To be eligible for impact rating under the current system, a nonprofit has to dedicate the bulk of its resources to programs directly delivered to beneficiaries and be reasonable to expect impact measurement for. Let me reread that so you get some clarity. To be eligible for an impact rating under the current system, a nonprofit has to dedicate the bulk of its resources to programs directly delivered to beneficiaries and reasonable to expect impact measurements for. So there you go. Furthermore, a nonprofit must mostly deliver results to beneficiaries who are different from its donors. Membership clubs, religious organizations, and many performing arts groups do not meet this criterion. That's interesting. Evaluating the impact of charities who do less direct work is important too. It's much harder, say, an advocacy organization for affordable housing lobbies local politicians, contributes to getting bills introduced which will build more houses, publishes an election slate which hundreds of people refer to when voting, and hires a lobbyist to make the case for housing at the state house. What is their impact? Impact matters. Current affairs can't answer that question, though it's working on it. Well, we learned about what makes changes works. What does a high impact charity look like? Goldberg said that impact matters researchers found that it's only partially how well run a nonprofit is. Much of the difference in impact is a consequence of choices that the nonprofit made about who it considers beneficiaries and how it sets eligibility for its programs. For example, scholarship programs that do need-based scholarships tend to be significantly more effective than those that do merit-based, Goldberg told me. The choice of geography and beneficiary population and program type ends up defining a lot of how effective you are. That means that as a donor, going and wanting to work in a specific program type or in a specific area will limit the impact of your donation. Being willing to consider charities in a different program or geographic area are major ways to have your donation go much further. But the impact matters, and charity navigator teams I talked to emphasized that they didn't want to build a tool that just told people your money could go further if you picked a different program. Instead, they argued donors should research the programs that interest inspire them, keeping an eye on impact while they do so. That's right. Whatever inspires you, put your money towards that, but just don't give it away. Make sure that that they're actually doing the job that they got cut out to do. And why charity matters? Because it's tax deductible. And that's a good thing. So that's a way to alleviate some of that tax burden is by donating to charities or creating one yourself and donating to it. That's a tax incentive. This is a journey, and one of the things we're trying to do with the races is really work with the nonprofits to adjust, adapt, and improve. Thatcher told me there's an interesting problem that we have in giving. Want to get it right the first time. The ideal there is that we learn from our mistakes. The goal is by having more transparent data. You can at least start looking and seeing some other food bank is twice as effective and call them up and see how they do that. Carlin told me once nonprofits have ways to discuss and compare impact, they can start making more of the choices that make them highly effective. And what I have to say about uh, charity, and specifically speaking about food banks and things of that nature, is that charity is going to be heavily needed soon to come. So many of you bring foundations so that in your area you can service the people around you in the time of need. So it's very important in giving. It's through giving you receive. And that's the greatest form of charity is giving. So with that being said, I want to leave you with that article. If you want to read more articles on nonprofits, go to my page, go to my website, thechurchofmoney.info, and hit the tab nonprofit, and you'll see all for nonprofit news related on that particular website, churchofmoney.info. So I'm going to leave you guys. Just wanted to bring a little charity info and which charities can help you, and there's new tools and help you evaluate how charities operate and which ones are being more transparent and those who are obscure with their donations and where the money comes from and how they dole it out. Uh, so with that being said, once again, I don't want to hold you guys any further. Just wanted to drop a little quick video on you about charities to do the most good in the hood. So with that, in this broadcast, and peace to the guys, as always.